The book of Revelation is simple. Israel was the beast. Rome was the rod of iron. The Gentiles were the rod of iron. And Jerusalem was Mystery Babylon. And the book of Revelation is simply everything that Jesus said that was going to happen in Matthew 24, Luke 21. It is the fulfillment of the only thing that Jesus Christ ever spoke about, or the only thing he ever prophesied about. The disciples came to Jesus privily, it said, in the 30s AD, to show him the things of the temple. And he said, "As for these things which you behold, you see this temple adorned with goodly stones. As for these things which you behold, not one stone in this temple will be left upon another." And then he goes on to tell them that whenever they saw the abomination that would make desolation, to get out of Judea, flee into the mountains, for there would be great wrath upon that people, and they would fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations. Matthew 24 said whenever they saw the abomination of desolation that they should flee Judea into the mountains. Luke 21 said whenever they see the armies come to Jerusalem that they should flee Judea, because that would be the abomination of desolation. That would be what made the temple desolate. He said that whenever they saw the armies come past Jerusalem, that they knew that the desolation thereof was nigh, and they were to get out of Judea, they were to look up, for their redemption drew nigh, and all those things were even at the doors. And Jesus told them that that generation would not pass until all things were fulfilled. Within 40 years of Jesus telling them that, everything that Jesus ever prophesied about was fulfilled. The armies did come in 66 AD. The Jews did fall by the edge of the sword and were led away captive into all nations. The believers did flee Judea. The sign of the Son of Man did come in the clouds. The temple was destroyed. All within 40 years, all in that generation. So what did Jesus tell them about here in Matthew 24 and Luke 21? He told them about the beast, the wrath of the Lamb, and Mystery Babylon. And what is the book of Revelation about? The beast, the wrath of the Lamb, and Mystery Babylon. And it's really simple. I'm going to explain it to you. Luke said that Jesus was a 3 days journey outside of Jerusalem. He was journeying to Jerusalem, and he was 3 days away. And they came and told Jesus, they said, "Get out of here, Herod will kill you." And he said, "You go tell that fox that I do cures today and tomorrow, and on the third day I will be perfected." He said, "For it cannot be that a prophet dies outside of Jerusalem." Prophets could not die outside of Jerusalem. Jesus was saying, he can't kill me until I make it to Jerusalem, because prophets can't die outside of Jerusalem. Then he tells them, "O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets, and stonest them which are sent unto thee." He said, well, hang on. Paul talked about Israel. He said, Israel, who kills their own prophets. So Jesus tells them a prophet can't die outside of Jerusalem. Then he says, "O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets, stonest them which are sent unto thee." And he told them that all the blood of all the prophets would be required at the hands of that generation. He said, "Here said the wisdom of God. God will send you apostles and prophets, and some you will slay, and some you will persecute, that all the blood of all the prophets may be required at the hands of this generation, from the blood of Abel, Cain and Abel, to the blood of Zacharias, whom they slew between the temple and the altar." The reason Zacharias is important is because Jesus said that the law and the prophets prophesied until John, and Zacharias was John the Baptist's father. So all the blood of all the prophets that came before Christ, all the way from Cain and Abel until John the Baptist's father, whom they slew between the temple and the altar, Jesus said, all that blood was going to be required at the hands of that generation. And then the next thing he told them, he said, "Behold, your house is left unto you desolate." And he said, "And you will not see me again until you say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord." So what is Mystery Babylon? Mystery Babylon is Jerusalem in the 1st century, and in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. And he said, "Rejoice over her, you holy apostles and prophets, for God has avenged you on her." America did not kill the apostles or the prophets. A prophet cannot die outside of Jerusalem. Jerusalem killed the apostles and prophets. He said, "Rejoice over her, you apostles and prophets, for God has avenged you on her." He said, "Here said the wisdom of God. God will send you apostles and prophets, and some you will slay, and some you will persecute. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets." For anybody to think that anything else was Mystery Babylon other than Jerusalem in the first century is insane. Jerusalem sat on 7 hills. They rode on the beast. The beast was Israel. Just picture the land of Israel, the 7 hills, and the city of Jerusalem sitting on top of those 7 hills. That's the 7 heads. John said they were 7 hills. And what does it say about Mystery Babylon in Revelation? It keeps saying she was left desolate, and her desolations came in 1 hour. And the horns on the beast hated her, and they made her naked and desolate, and burned her with fire. Which is why Jesus told them, whenever you see the abomination, whenever you see the armies come to Jerusalem, know, whenever you see the Gentiles come to Jerusalem, know that the desolation thereof is nigh. It's even at the doors. So this is what the book of Revelation was about. In the Gospels, Jesus said, the Gentiles would come and trample the city underfoot until the times of the Gentiles were fulfilled. The Jews would fall by the edge of the sword. He said, but there would be great wrath upon this people, the Jews. They would fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations until the times of the Gentiles were fulfilled. But in Revelation, whenever Jesus Christ revealed himself again from heaven after he went away and said he would not talk with them much now, but that he would come again to them from heaven. At the revelation of Jesus Christ, whenever he talked to John, he told them how long the Gentiles would trample the city underfoot. Revelations chapter 11, verse 1 said, the court that is without the temple leave out, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and they shall trample the city underfoot 42 months, until the times of the Gentiles were fulfilled. Now what did these Gentiles do? What did the Roman armies do? They came and they trampled the city underfoot from 66 AD, whenever they came, until the temple was destroyed in 70 AD, the abomination of desolation, the destruction of Mystery Babylon. It was 42 months. And what was the Gentiles coming? There would be great wrath upon this people, Israel. That was the wrath of the Lamb, where it's the Gentile armies. That's why in Joel chapter 2 it said that it would be a heathen army that came on the great day of God Almighty. This was the wrath of the Lamb, that Jesus Christ received power over the nations and got the rod of iron. The Iron Kingdom. Rome was called the Iron Kingdom. The wrath that happened was from the Iron Kingdom. Jesus Christ took over the Iron Kingdom, put in their hearts to fulfill his will, to fulfill God's will, and make Jerusalem desolate. So how do we know that the beast was Israel? Okay, the Gentiles were given power to continue, or the Gentiles were given power to trample the city underfoot for 42 months, for the wrath of the Lamb, there being great wrath upon that people. The beast was given power to continue for 42 months, and they fell by the edge of the sword and were led away captive into all nations. From 66 until 70 AD, Jesus Christ was destroying Israel using the rod of iron, which was Rome. For 42 months, they trampled the city, and for 42 months, the beast was able to continue. But what was happening to the beast? If you read Revelation chapter 13 talking about the beast, he says, hear what the Spirit says. If you lead into captivity, you will go into captivity. If you kill with the sword, you must be killed with the sword. Who was killed by the edge of the sword? Who was led away captive? Israel. Mystery Babylon. All the blood of all the prophets were found in her, in that generation, riding on top of Israel. That's Jerusalem. And Jerusalem, Mystery Babylon, was destroyed on the last day, after the seals, after the trumpets, after the wrath, after the vials, during the vials. Now all of it came on that generation. This is not even a hard thing to understand. This is factual, guaranteed, the exact words that they were saying. And that generation didn't pass. The believers did flee. And in Revelation it says, the believers fled whenever Satan was cast down and Jesus started reigning in 66 AD. The believers fled into the wilderness where they had a place prepared away from the serpent. Revelation said that the Gentiles would trample the city underfoot for 42 months, just like Jesus told them. Revelation said that the beast would fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive. That's what happened. Then on the last day, the temple was destroyed. That was the return of Jesus Christ. That was his wrath, the destruction, and the fulfillment of all of it. And Jesus wasn't lying whenever he said, "This generation will not pass until all these things are fulfilled." And he never prophesied about anything else. There is nothing left to happen. Jesus never prophesied about anything else, and he was not a liar. And everything did happen, just like he said. Jesus Christ came to do a short work on the earth. He delivered the kingdoms back up to God. He finished the old world so that we could all have access to God today. Today we should be going straight to God. Christianity ended in 70 AD. We should not be going back to Christ, back under the old world, back under the law, back under sin. Jesus fulfilled all that in the first century whenever he destroyed the temple. That's what his whole purpose was, to end that covenant people so that God could have rights to all mankind again, and we wouldn't be judged for sin. Go straight to God today. Everything in the Bible already happened. I hope you subscribe. I'll be putting out plenty of videos, and I've already got a lot, so